And once again, everyone, thank you for joining us today. And I'm so excited and happy because I'm going to talk about the topic that I really care about, which is compassion in organizations and how kokorozashi, sense of mission, will be important for us. So allow me to share my slides. All right. So the topic that I'm going to explore today with you is compassion-driven leadership. Now, I am, as I said, a faculty member at GLOBIS, and I do study, compassion in organizational setting. I am in Tokyo right now. I live with my wife and 2 sons. Okay, and by the way, my hobby is Aikido, a Japanese martial art. Now, let's get started. Why compassion matters in the first place? Why compassion matters in the first place? Now, let me give you some context about the country, Japan. Japan has many companies that are over 100 years old. Actually, it is making up 41% of the global total. Why? Why? Right? One of the key reasons we believe is compassion in organizations. This is one of the key success factors for the longevity. Now, as you may know, Japan is a Buddhist country, and one of the teaching is actually compassion. So this concept, compassion, actually shaped Japanese business culture. And because of that, some companies were able to survive over generations. Now, you might think, what is compassion? I think it's very simple. You already know. Compassion involves 3 steps: understanding, empathy, and motivation. Understanding. I understand you. I understand your context. I understand where you are coming from. Empathy. I feel your pain. I feel as you feeling right now. And motivation. If someone is in pain, you want to support them. The motivation. Using your head, heart, and hands. Here's another thing. Organizational leaders have fear about introducing compassion into their organization. Why? Why? I've talked to many leaders. They always say, many of them say, compassion is a weakness. You need to be tough. You need to be competitive in this environment. You see, compassion makes you soft in business. You got to be tough, competitive. We don't want compassion in organization. No, this is a misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. And today, what I'd like to show you is compassion is not weakness. It can be a powerful strength. And if you lead with compassion, you'll be able to build a more sustainable, more competitive business. This is the message I want to deliver today. In a Japanese saying, there is this kind of, statement. The soft is stronger than the strong. Let me repeat this again. The soft is actually stronger than the strong, right? This is the word. This is the core message I like to deliver today. Now, why is this so important in today's environment? Now, this is the recent survey that came out from Ilderman Global Report. 6 out of 10 hold grievances. Many people are frustrated, are very angry. Why? Because they feel that business and government don't serve them. They feel business and government are hurting them. People are losing trust in business and government. This is the current environment that we are in. Now, in this kind of environment, what kind of people would be influential? What makes people influential? A, leaders who understand what people like you need, basically compassion. B, leaders who occupy a formal position or a power. A or B? What makes someone more influential? Okay. What do you think? You know, why don't you actually type in to the chat box if you like, A or B? A or B? You know, what is your personal opinion about this? A or B? Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. I really appreciate your um input into the chat. Great. So here's the result, the recent result. Look at this. Among people who have a sense of grievance, high levels of grievance, 60% said compassion earns influence, whereas 48% chose power. Of course, both are important, but what is even more important today is actually compassion. Influence is gained through compassion, not power. Of course, leaders have power. Definitely, we have to use that, but that is not enough. Compassion is getting even more important. Now, how we can actually embody compassion in an organizational setting? Let's learn from some Japanese companies. Okay. Now, there are actually three directions we can actually bring compassion toward. One is compassion for employees, two, compassion for customers, and three, compassion for society. Now, let's begin with compassion for employees. And I want to talk about this small company in a food industry. Do you know this company? Have you heard about this company? Oh, yes, some of you nodding, some of you not. Right. Okay. Chairman Hiroshi Tsukagoshi actually created a compassionate culture. And it's a small company, but this company is visited by global executives, including Toyota Chairman Akio Toyota. You know, a lot of executives actually come to this company. It's in the it's not in Tokyo, it's not in the city area, it's in the rural area of Japan, but many actually leaders visit this company to learn about its philosophy. What do? They use seawood and turn into agar, which is a gelatin-like product. With this, they produce various products. Now, maybe some of you don't know this company, but this company actually appeared on the Wall Street Journal. To whom do Japan's most powerful turn for advice? The sensei of seaweed. Inafu chief, little known abroad, counsels Toyota boss, Toyota Akio, and others on how to manage a company. Wow, what do they do? What do they do really, And more surprisingly, in the food industry recorded 48 consecutive years of profit growth. This is a trend even Toyota couldn't match. Wow, what are they doing? Here's the secret of this company. Its philosophy of tree ring management. The core of this philosophy is happiness of employees. Happiness of employees. This is the ultimate goal. And then you actually make your customers happy. You try to coexist with suppliers, and you make the community happier, right? Just like a tree grows steadily, what Tsukagoshi and this company want to do is to grow steadily. What do they do to make employees happy? There are many practices, but let me actually introduce one of them. When you join Inafood, on day one, there's an orientation session, just like other companies. Okay. And actually, Tsukagoshi facilitates this session, and he gives you a 100-year calendar like this, a 100-year calendar. Have you seen this type of calendar? Maybe not. And he would say, take a good look at this 100-year calendar, okay? Somewhere on it, you'll find the date of your death. It is undoubtedly there. Somewhere on it, you will find the date of your death. The worst thing that you want to see in this world, your death, is something that you need to think about on day one at Inafood industry. And by the way, this company is promoting happiness of employees. And then you need to think about your death on day one of this organization. Oh no. So what's the purpose of this 100-year calendar? What's the purpose of this 100-year calendar? Does anyone would like to speak up? What's your view? Why this happiness company promoting 100-year calendar on day one? Anyone who likes to speak up? Or you may want to type in if you cannot speak up. Right. Yeah, Saskia, hello. Making you think about what is really important. Exactly, exactly. Making you think about what is really important in your life. Ken, I guess it says that everyone's life is the same. Yeah, it's same. We all die. Common humanity. We think about humanity here. We all suffer and ultimately we all die. To give a longer perspective, carrying the next generation. Yes, Kaori, thank you very much. I think we can think long term, right? Now, by the way, this calendar, as you can see on the picture, is put on every meeting room at Inafood. So if you're going to work at this company, probably you're going to see this calendar 4 or 5 times a day, or perhaps 10 times a day, right? And every time you'll be reminded of the time that you're going to die. Right. So Tsukagoshi says it is a reminder of the time left in the world. Everyone will die eventually. So given that, how should we live this life? I want people to seriously reflect on what it means to truly live. This is what Tsukagoshi says. Now, what can we learn from this case? Of course, I'm not saying you should put 100 in calendar, in your meeting room, but we can use this kind of small, gentle reminder to support employee happiness. You see, it's a small thing. It's a reminder. It's a reminder. Do you design reminder in your team, in your organization? We don't need, huge systematic change in organization. We don't need, huge initiatives. There are small things that we can do every day. Use daily gentle reminder to support employee happiness. It could be a small reflection. It could be a calendar. It could be a gathering. It could be anything. Design small, gentle reminder. Now, let's come to the next topic, compassion for customers. Compassion for customers. And here is the company I would like to talk about. KonMari, founded by Marie Kondo, who is the creator of the popular KonMari method. They offer tidying consulting, education, and lifestyle products. Netflix series some of you maybe have watched, Tidying Up with Marie Kondo became super popular in the world. It is watched in 150 countries. I think this is the proof that this method resonates worldwide. So Marie Kondo, who loved tidying from age 5, and there was a turning point at 17, she realized the key to tidying. By the way, she read all the tidying magazines, books, and everything, and she did all the study. What she recognized is this: focus on what to keep, not what to throw away. All the actually traditional tidying method focused on what to throw away, you see. But her method is very simple: what to keep. And the criteria is even more simple. It's about choosing joy. So pick up one item at a time, hold it, and ask this question: does it spark joy? If yes, keep it, cherish it. If it's no, you say thank you to the product and you throw away and let it go. This is the method. So you ask your actually body and see the body reaction. Does this spark joy? Now, she started to actually coach her friends. For example, a college friend working at a tech company. And after getting her advice, Marie Kondo's advice, only books on social welfare remained in her room. This reminded her of volunteer babysitting as a teen. She remembered the passion she had, right? What did he do? What did she do? She quit her job, launched a childcare business, and she's very happy right now, thriving. So what does it mean? Marie Kondo, from this experience, discovered that tidying is not just tidying. Tidying is not just functional thing. It has a compassionate meaning. Tidying has the power to change lives. This is what she realized. And then she wrote this book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing. And this became a bestseller. And then her business is also thriving, right? So what is the meaning of your work? And it's a very important question to ask. Discover meaning in your work to connect with customers more compassionately. You may think, oh, how is it relevant to my job in my organization? Let me give you another example, a fundraising center. So this call center raised scholarship funds. Staff had a very tough job, endless calls, endless rejections, just reading a script, just voice. It's very exhausting, right? Sometimes. What did they do? Staff were asked to read stories about how scholarship changed graduates' lives. For example, story from a former student who studied engineering. He was raised by a single parent. He actually gave up, going to college, but this scholarship made him able to study engineering. And now he's working at a robotics company. This kind of story, the staff read. Now, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it won't take much time. But once you recognize the compassionate meaning of the work, donations they collected, they raised, increased more than 2 times. Just single 10-minute small intervention actually doubled the productivity. This is the power of recognizing compassionate meaning of your work. And I think every work has its compassionate meaning. You see? So leaders helping their staff recognize compassionate meaning is really the key. And that is compassionate leadership. Now, let's turn to compassion for society. I want to talk about Kongogumi, the oldest company in the world. It's in business for more than 1,000 years, and it is said it is the oldest company in the world. What do? They build temples and preserve temples. And Kongogumi, in fact, built the oldest temple in Japan, Shiten Noji, right? And since then, they are actually supporting this temple. You know, why they survive so long? The answer is very simple to me. They think super long term. They think long term, which actually we don't. We're living in a short term, competitive environment, but they think long term. Like if you talk to temple carpenters, they will say, our work isn't something that shows its true value right away. Only after 200 or even 300 years will people realize its value. Because temples last long. See? So it takes few hundred years to show its value. This is the kind of, the scope and the length that they are thinking about. They are thinking about future generations. They're not thinking about just quarterly output or results. Now, the question is, how can you think long term? How can you think long term, right? Now, I talked to them. I interviewed this company, and they are actually doing a lot of things, but let me introduce one of the practices that they do. Here's the thing. The carpenters leave a wooden tag with their own name inside the temple in a secret place, like this. In the temple, they put a tag with their own name. What does it mean? So in 200 years or in 300 years, when the temple needs to be restored, someone is going to look at it. And they see the tag. Oh, this person did the work. What a beautiful temple they made. You see? So they always ask themselves, the carpenters always ask themselves, how will I be remembered by future generations? This is the question they always ask themselves. How will I be remembered by future generations? Wow, very simple. Ask this question. Why don't we do it now? We can do it. We can do it. Now, thinking about your legacy actually makes you give more to the society. 55% more in one study. Right. So let's do it. Let's do it a little bit, if you like. Okay. So I'm going to invite you to a few-minute exercise. All right. Please join legacy reflection. Now, I would suggest you would close your eyes. Okay. If you feel uncomfortable, you don't need to. Okay. So if you can, please close your eyes and follow this journey that I'm going to explain. Okay. Think of a younger person you deeply care about. A child, a niece, or someone with who you share a special bond. Picture their face, their voice, and what they love. Now, imagine them 30 years from now. Okay, what joys of challenges are they facing? What kind of world do they live in? Now, see them at their 90th birthday. Their 90th birthday. 90. Surrounded by loved ones. They rise to give a speech. And they noticed your photo. Looking at the photo of you, they begin to speak not about themselves, but about you. What do they say about your life? What values, lessons, or inspiration did they carry forward from you? What values, lessons, or inspiration did they carry forward from you? Just take a quiet moment to reflect. Okay, let's come to the end of this exercise. So release the image that you have in mind. And if you're ready, gently open your eyes. What did you notice? What did you feel? If you like, why don't you write down on the chat, your feeling, what you noticed, what you discovered. Okay. So what we did is taking a moment to consider how future generations will remember you. And this is how we can actually think long-term in this short-term competitive environment. Thinking about generational legacy. And in business, in fact, if you can think long-term, we can survive longer. This is the evidence. We also need to think long-term. And this reflection is one way to do that. Right. Now, my final topic is this. How can we develop compassionate leaders who care about employees, customers, and the society? Here's our suggestion. Develop your kokorozashi. What is kokorozashi? A sense of personal mission. It is a sense of personal mission that unifies the passions and skills of a professional to create positive change in society. It connects personal passion with social good. Kokorozashi, this is the Chinese character. The upper part means professional. In the past, it meant samurai warriors, but these days it means professionals. And the bottom part means heart, compassion. So it means professional compassion. How you want to show your passion, compassion to the society, connecting personal passion with societal good. Remember Kondo Marie, KonMari, who loved tiding from a time when she was a child. And she actually converted it into a business helping millions of people, going beyond just functional tidying. What is your kokorozashi? What is your sense of mission? And how do you want to contribute to this world? Here is my message for you. Be compassionate with kokorozashi. Develop your sense of mission, how you want to contribute to the society. And that gives you energy. That brings more motivation. And you'll be able to help your employees, your staff. You'll be able to help your customers. You'll be able to give hands to the society. And we believe this is a healthier way to cultivate and create a better society. So with this, I would like to pause here and pass my mic back to Corey.
Absolutely, Tatsan. Thank you so much. You know, it's a deep topic to a lot of us, compassion, legacy. And it's not something light, right? And I'm glad and grateful that you were able to talk today. But I would love to dive deeper into this conversation with a dialogue session between Tatsan and Yasan. Again, before we start, everybody in the audience is welcome to join via chat or raising their hand. We'll try to pick them up midway potentially, or most likely closer after the dialogue between these two are done. But please reflect, listen, feel, and enjoy the session. Yes, please.
Okay, that's thanks so much for your inspiring talk, and especially I like the legacy reflection. And I thought of my two kids, and I was so moved to tears. Thanks so much. Yep.
My pleasure.
Yep. And I actually asked some questions to connect the concept of compassion to the actual leadership in the business field, because GLOBIS is focusing on practical, actually, business. So my first question is about the, as you said, the you mentioned about the compassion that involves 3 steps.
Yes.
First one is understanding. Second is empathy.
Yes.
Yeah. Third is support. Yeah, of course I understand these steps, but what would you think about what's the most difficulty part for leaders to move forward this step?
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think for leaders, I would say the first step of understanding becomes very difficult. It sounds easy, perhaps, for many people, but in fact, I think this is the most difficult part, understanding others' perspectives. The reason is, here's the reason. Leaders basically have power. You see, they have authority, and what we know from research is that power can actually blind leaders. When you have a sense of power, you tend to focus on yourselves. Right. Power means, it doesn't need to be authority, but it could be wealth, it could be education, it could be position. But when people are given some sense of power, surprisingly, they start to lose others' perspectives. And they become super egoistic in some cases. And this is the danger that leaders have and face. So I would say understanding part is the most difficult part for leaders.
Okay, thank you very much. So to my understanding, so moving forward these 3 steps, well, as a leader, what we have to do is to understand the power of leader, the trap of the power of leader.
The trap, yes. That's why we see a lot of leaders who rise but fall.
Okay, thank you
because
very much.
Power can blind leaders, yeah.
Blind leaders. And yeah, this will lead to my second question. And of course, I understand the trap of the power of leader. But looking at my own experience, when I overwhelmed or busy or so many things to do, I just forget to focus on others. I forget.
Exactly.
Yeah, compassion on others.
Exactly.
So what kind of situation or state or leaders have to be and to focus on others? What state? Yeah.
That's a very important question. I recently practiced Aikido, Japanese martial arts, and before the practice, there is a 5-minute time frame. We sit quietly and do nothing. Just 5 minutes. And that helps me, settle the mind, quiet the mind. Before coming to the dojo, the practice center, I was busy, thinking about that and this. But just come to the dojo, sitting on the tatami mat and sit quietly, silence, just few minutes. It centers my mind, right? And it gives me some space. And then I can focus on practice. I think same thing can be applicable to leaders, Leaders are super busy. But before entering a very important meeting, for example, just take a few minutes to breathe. Settle down. Settle your mind. Center your mind. And then set the intention. I want to show compassion to my people in the next meeting I attend. This few minutes will completely change the attitude, your voice, and what kind of support you give to your people.
Wow, thank you very much. So giving us very practical practice. Yeah, thank you. And my next question is about I of course understand the importance of compassion, but as a reality in the organization, there are various kinds of people. So as a leader, I find it difficult to show my compassion to everyone. Yeah, so should I show my compassion to everyone, or in other words, who to show compassion to?
I see.
Is there
So,
any conditions or criteria?
yeah. So can I ask you a question? What kind of people do you feel that you find difficulty, you feel difficulty in giving compassion toward? Do you
Okay.
have any examples? It doesn't need to be your personal experience, but the struggles and difficulties that hear from others. What kind of people?
Okay, thank you very much. And I would expect the audience to, of course, come up with the ideas. But in my case, of course, and the person who is different from my strength,
I see,
or
see, see.
yeah. So I values challenges. I like to achieve result. So I can't expect others to. I intentionally, no,
Yeah.
I unconsciously
Yes.
expect others to follow
Yes.
my attitude or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. So this is one of the examples I feel.
Yeah. So I think, when we actually start to see differences, we wouldn't be able to give compassion to others. It makes us difficult to give compassion toward others because we have this instinct, right? We want to care about our group. We want to care about people who are same with me. Okay. And we actually kind of build walls between us and them, for example, right? Now, I think compassion is really the force to overcome this barrier, in fact. Compassion actually focuses on the similarities, not the differences. The similarity, I mean, the simple fact that they also suffer too. Compassion is basically noticing the suffering of other people and try to help them. That's it. And even they have different religions, different, personalities, different culture or, education, they also feel pain. They also suffer. And recognizing that, which we call common humanity, not perfectly, but we will be able to actually give compassion to them as well by noticing not only differences, but also similarities. And the fundamental part is this: they also suffer. They also want to become happy.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so I deepen understanding of the compassion, and that we have focused on similarity rather than differences. And we all human beings that suffer from something
Something.
to something. Yeah. Okay. So, I of course, and thank you very much for your explanation. But after understanding their feelings or similarity, they suffered from something. But as a leader, maybe we need to make a decision.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
So if that's the case, and if the company, let's say, is going to bankrupt, we might have to make a hard decision.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes. If
Exactly.
that's the case, as a leader, what kind of values or thoughts or perspective should we use to make a hard decision?
Right. This is a very practical and important question. So we can use compassion as a guiding principle. And especially compassion will be super important in difficult times. For example, maybe you need to make a hard decision, right? For example, laying off some people, your important people. That could be a very tough decision. But there is always a way to handle this decision with care. So how you communicate with people, this tough decision. There is always a compassionate way to communicate, just as opposed to just bluntly say, okay, go away, There is always a better way to deal with this situation. And the principle is compassion. Even in difficult situation, treat people with care. And if you do that, leadership is a long journey, the people who are affected will respect you over the long run, right? And then perhaps you'll be able to do business together in the future. So I think even in difficult times, we can be compassionate.
Okay, thank you very much. So the decision itself is very tough, but we can make use of the concept of compassion about how to communicate with others.
Yes. The other thing is it also improves our decision. This is what I think. Is there a better way to deal with the situation is the question you would ask if you're compassionate leaders. Is there any better way not to hurt people? Is there any better way to serve people? We constantly ask this question if you're compassionate, right? So you may come up with totally different idea, a new idea, which could lead to innovation.
Yes, exactly. And my last question is a little bit tricky.
Of course, I love tricky question.
A tricky question, but
I love tricky question.
Okay, so as a reality, so once again, so there are very diverse community and groups in the world. So just showing the compassion to one specific group, it can lead to kind of a division.
Yes.
Yeah, how to make a good balance between showing compassion and treat others with in a fair way.
I see. So, yeah, as I said, earlier, we tend to divide people in two groups, us and them. And sometimes we show hostility to the outer groups. And this is creating a lot of problems right now these days. And I believe compassion is the solution in a way, because what compassion does is to expand circles of compassion. This is what we want to do. First thing, I think we do need to care about ourselves, right? And then we care about our family, our loved ones. And as I said, we care about employees. We care about customers. And then ultimately we give compassion to society. So compassionate act, compassion practice is basically expanding the circles of compassion. It is a practical act to overcome that barriers that we create between us and them.
Okay, so now I understand. So that's why, as starting point, the 志, as you said, so let's connect personal mission with social good is very important, plays a crucial role, starting from our mission and how to contribute to the society.
Yes, exactly. So 志 is the journey, that journey, starting with yourself, gradually expanding the circles of compassion and how you want to contribute to the society, starting from yourself, others, and the society. And if we can expand these circles, I think naturally we will be able to dissolve the walls that we create.
Okay, thank you very much.